Welcome to the only daily podcast focusing on compliance news of the day. Each morning, start your day with a cup of coffee and Tom Fox, the voice of compliance, to hear about 4 of the top compliance, corruption, or leadership stories you will need to start your day. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network.
First, a word from this month's sponsor, Ethico.
If you're a compliance officer, middle managers are crucial in getting your programs from you to your frontline employees. But how do we activate those managers and get them on our side? Ethico's new Middle Manager Toolkit equips you with the skills needed to empower your managers, to promote a culture where ethical behavior thrives and employees feel empowered to speak up. Learn how to turn frontline managers into ethical leaders with our new white paper, Empowering Middle Managers as Ethics Champions. And did I mention you can get the whole toolkit for free? Head to ethico.com to download the full toolkit today.
Also, if you're looking for a unique gift for the holiday season, check out the Compliance Kids series. It's my 3-book children's series on compliance and compliance professionals for children. But they make great gifts and great training tools for your employees. You can check it out on Amazon.com. We've linked to it in the show notes. The Daily Compliance News for December 10, 2024, the Cost of Corruption Edition. We begin with that story from Bloomberg, which reports that as South Africa has become the head of the Global 20 or the G20, from its role as the most industrialized country in the African continent, it will not work with McKinsey. And on the G20, there's no partnership between South African government and McKinsey, the National Treasury said, and the G20 finance track has no plans to work with McKinsey on the G20. When you read things like this, you understand there are costs for corruption far beyond simply the fine and penalty and investigation. There are clear reputational issues, and McKinsey has been severely spanked by South Africa for its role in South Africans' corruption. Next up from the BBC, a fashion retailer, Boohoo, may have been surveilling employees outside of work. The Times reported that there were stalking offenses committed against certain Boohoo executives, and there's now a police investigation open on this matter. So the discovery of surveillance equipment outside its headquarters has caused a lot of concern. There's an ongoing investigation in Manchester over this. In a very interesting article from the New York Times, it reports that 2 British companies are looking at and in experiments with 4-day work weeks. Actually, there are multiple British companies doing this, and there was an initial pilot program in 2022. 92% have said they would continue with the 4-day work week. And at least in the United Kingdom, this may pave the way for a 32-hour work week in England. Of course, under Donald Trump, there's zero chance of this happening because that would be pro-working person, and he is antithetical to all things working people. And our final story comes to us from Financial Times, which reports on the ongoing Trafigura trial that Trafigura used known high-risk middlemen involved in the payment of bribes in Angola. This was something that was well known within the company, and they continued to do so even after additional information was put forward on the high-risk nature. So once again, you're seeing just a completely corrupt, toxic workplace atmosphere inside Trafigura, which led to its massive FCPA enforcement action. And at the start of this podcast, the sponsor for the entire Compliance Podcast Network is Ethico. Well, Ethico has a great new offering this month for you, a toolkit for middle managers. This is something that you, as the compliance professional, can use to move your compliance program forward by giving middle managers the skills necessary to answer a call for speak up or when someone comes in their office and raises a concern. I can't think of a tool that will be more valuable for you in the current era of enforcement. The Daily Compliance News is a production of the Compliance Podcast Network and a proud member of C-Suite Radio. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you'll join me again tomorrow.